All right, welcome back, Truth Seeker. Friday, November 15th, 2019. Always a rough day for me because I always think about what happened on this day in 2014. Came home and my whole house was ransacked. Anyway, let's make November 15th, 2019 a lot better day. We'll start off with a little bit of review as per usual. Last night, things were looking a bit better for the Browns, especially through the stadium riddle, something we just started to pay attention to last week. And if you missed yesterday's video, we reviewed how the stadium riddles were really great last week. And once again, the stadium riddle was true. The Browns picked up their 58th win in their stadium. Pittsburgh equals 58. It was Jim Brown's 271st day of his age, the 58th prime. Plus, the Browns had a few other things going. Again, we saw the 13 riddle. If the Steelers lost, they were going to be 1-3 away. Again, 13 connects to the Browns in 3 ways. Well, maybe 4 if you count Odell Beckham. But again, Browns is 91, the 13th triangular. Cleveland Browns is 169, which has a square root of 13. First Energy Stadium is 233, which is the 13th Fibonacci number. So the week prior, the Browns become 1-3 at home. The week after, the Steelers fall to 1-3 away. And Cleveland Browns also equals 83, the 23rd prime. They improved to 2-3 at home. I know I said that out loud yesterday, but I should have wrote it down. So, meant to write down Browns can improve to 2-3, which they did. So, again, I just want the notes to always be clear because I expect that some people go back and study the notes and just look at what went right and what went wrong week after week. And then Thursday equals 46. The Browns had a chance to improve to 4-6, which they did. Thursday Night Football. The date numerology was the thing that was going in favor of the Steelers. But again, Gematria usually trumps date numerology. When you can get the Gematria and the date numerology to line up, that's usually when things are golden. So, let's see. Somebody texted me afterwards and they go, why don't you consider that the Steelers are on 58 losses and they could stay on that? And again, you have to think about that. I mean, just think about that question. I don't feel like somebody should have to ask me that question. Do you think the Steelers are forever just going to stay on 58 losses to the Browns because Pittsburgh equals 58? I mean, eventually they're going to get off that number. So, you know, if it was a date with 58 numerology or if they're playing in a location that's 58, that's more where something like that matters. But, you know, sometimes you really got to think and be logical about things. We did see that if Tomlin lost, he would get his 71st loss in the regular season. Browns 71. Right at the beginning of the game, they showed Jim Brown up in the press box, and they, right on the screen, Hall of Fame inductee in 1971. And I just love it every time. Stuff like that just makes me grin. And I mean, just think about what it is. I mean, the Browns haven't won anything since Jim Brown. It's just such an obvious mockery. And then Tomlin also got his 78th all-time loss in Cleveland, 78. So both the regular season and the all-time made perfect sense with the loss. Talked about how Mayfield could become 10-13, kind of like 1-1-3 because Steelers is 1-1-3. It was possible that he could pick up the 14th loss on the 14th of the month, but it also would make sense if he stayed on 13 losses in the building that has all the 13 connections. The Browns had struggled with Clete Blakeman. They had a chance to fall to 1-9 with him on the 19-date numerology or to improve to 2-8, and Browns is 28. Again, Gematria beats the date numerology. And that stadium. The stadium was the encouraging thing. So the Browns got their 58th win in the stadium. Pittsburgh 58. The Steelers stayed on 15 wins in the Browns building on the day leaving 47 days left in the year. 47, the 15th prime. And we also saw that for the entire season, home teams could stay on 71 losses if the Browns won last night. And again, Browns is 71. And we talked about how last year there was a big 71 ritual with the Steelers and Browns tie. It was the first tie in week 1 since 1971. AFC equals 71, Browns 71. So Browns did have the better riddles yesterday. And they took care of business. And the first caller who called in who said he was putting 100 on it, he was just going with the psychological aspect because he said the whole media is selling the Steelers. the media's making it seem like the Steelers have turned things around and the Browns aren't that good. And yeah, that's exactly right too, because that's what they do. So NFL football, we got what we wanted to see. And we're definitely going to be looking at all the stadium riddles this weekend. Basketball yesterday, it was a dangerous day in basketball. There were a lot of potential upsets on the board yesterday, but the narratives were a whole lot of two-way streets. Teeter-totters, I call them. So, Cleveland did fall to 4-7 on the day, leaving 47 days left in the year. Again, the 47th problem of Euclid. The announcer for the Cavs always says, write down Euclid. And the Miami Heat improved to 4-3 on the 14th of the month, 43 the 14th prime. They picked up the 8th win on a date with 19, numerology 19, the 8th prime. On the flip side, the Cavs had the chance to become 5-6, and Miami Heat's also 56. So it was a tough call in this game, and had the Heat lost, they would have fallen to 7-4. We saw a lot of teams do that the day before. 74th NBA season. But you had the 19-date numerology yesterday, the 8th prime. So, tough game, tough call. And Miami was a 4-point favorite, and they beat them good. Well, I guess they were up a lot at the half, so Cavs rallied, but still beat them by 11. The Clippers and the Pelicans game. We saw that the Clippers could lose and fall to 5-4 in the conference in New Orleans. New Orleans 54. There's probably something to think about greater here between the sports leagues. We just saw the Rams, who were in the Super Bowl last year, fall to 5-4. And now LA falls to 5-4 in New Orleans. You know what? Let me double check real quick how many days it was from yesterday to the Super Bowl. I think it would have been 81 days, maybe a span of 82. Saints is 82. Let me check this out real quick. Oh, never mind. It was 80 days or a span of 81. And you know what else? Let me check one other thing real quick. I should have thought about this too. I think, yeah, Zion equals 28 in the most pure cipher. I should have thought about that too. So they became 2-8. I'm sure we're going to see all sorts of Zion Williamson little riddles this year with the Pelicans. But it did seem like more lined up for the Clippers here. It was just this one thing that they could fall to 5-4, and they did. So that's what kept me not so sure about that game. The Bulls and Bucks, Milwaukee Bucks equals 48 in the most pure cipher. We talked about the 19-date numerology, the 8th prime, how the Bucks could get the 8th win, how the Bulls could get the 8th loss. Thought that was the most likely scenario. But again, the Bulls had a shot. The Bucks had a chance to fall to 3-3 in the conference, but we also saw that if they won this game, they could win their next game in the conference and become 5-2 against Indiana. And yeah, that's what happened in that one. So, I mean, no surprises there. Bucks were a big favorite, 11.5-point favorite, and they won by 9. So we saw the potential upset. If you took the Bulls with the points to cover, you did just fine. And the Mavericks and the Knicks, again, it seemed like the 39 riddle was better. It was a tough call because New York Knicks equals 74th NBA season. Mavericks had a chance to get to 7-4, but New York and 39 is hard to go against. Victor called in and pointed out it was also the Knicks' 39th home game, which was true. And we saw that if the Mavericks lost, they'd be 3-3 out of conference in New York. New York's also 33. We saw the Knicks out of conference record go either way. And the other thing that was encouraging for New York is not only does New York equal 39, but we saw that the next team they play is Charlotte, and Charlotte's 39 in the most pure cipher like New York. So we also saw that if the Knicks won this game, they'd have a good chance to beat Cleveland in their next home game because Cleveland and New York are both 33. So that's also the piece to remember from this game. But yeah, Knicks were a nice payout last night. If you took that, if you took the points, you did fine too. And then the Hawks and Suns, it did look better for the Suns, but the Hawks had a little narrative as well. They did not cover their spread. Again, if the Suns won last night, they were going to be 73-56 versus the Hawks. Suns is 73. Phoenix Suns is 56. Suns look like a good team this year. The one thing that could have gone against the Suns was them picking up the 19th home loss on the 19-date numerology. But it being the day leaving 47 days left in the year, we saw the Hawks could fall to 4-7. The Suns could get to 7-4. Seems like, again, the day before there was a whole bunch of 47-74. The concern was the Hawks did have a chance to improve to 5-6. Phoenix Suns is 56. And we did see, though, that if they lost, they'd probably be on their way to 4-8 because Atlanta's 48 and so is the LA Clippers, who they play next. And the one other concern for the Suns was that if the Hawks won, the Suns would fall to 4-4 at home. Atlanta Hawks is 193, the 44th prime. And the Suns out-of-conference record could have made sense with a win or a loss. But Suns took care of business there, beat the Hawks soundly. It was the third quarter, it looks, where the biggest discrepancy was. Or I guess the second quarter, too, difference of 8. And Nets and Nuggets. Nets, it was right there that they could fall to 4-7 on the day, leaving 47 days left in the year. Also a chance the Nuggets went to 7-4, so it made this one a tough call. Denver, Colorado, and Brooklyn, New York, both 74. So the Nuggets had a chance to fall to 7-4, and had the Nuggets lost, they would have been 3-3 at home. Nuggets is 33. So, but the one thing that we saw for the Nuggets that was most encouraging for them was that they could become 4-1 out of conference, and Brooklyn's 41, and that is what they did. So that's why yesterday was tough, though. There was just a lot of little things to look at, but I forget much of a favorite were the Nuggets were at 8.5-point favorite. So if you took the Nets with the points, you won that bet too. So, I mean, if you took the underdogs yesterday with the points, you would have hit on 3 out of 4. Well, if you would have took the Pelicans too, you would have hit on 4 out of 5. Well, if you took the Cavs, actually, you would have hit on 4 out of 6. So that's not bad, because we talked about how there could be a good deal of upsets. You could do a small parlay and go money line if you're trying to go big, or take them to cover. Because, again, usually when underdogs have a nice little riddle, they don't often win, but they'll usually cover. So underdogs were 4 out of 6 with covering. So that wasn't so bad. And then, hold on. Yeah, NHL, that's what I want to pull up next. What? Close that. Okay, I know what game really disappointed me yesterday in hockey. That was the Winnipeg game. We did see the one thing that could go sideways, but man, I didn't think it was gonna. Yay. Okay, so the Hurricanes and Sabres, that was a tight one. Tough to call. Hurricanes won it in overtime. We talked about how if Buffalo lost in overtime, they'd be on 21 points. Carolina 73, the 21st prime. That is what went on to happen. Buffalo loses in overtime. So, I mean, it does make sense, the outcome, but it was just, you could also make the argument for Carolina to stay on the 21 points in the location. So, tough call in that game. Both teams had riddles to win in their home and away records. The Lightning game looked like the safest game yesterday, but, I mean, it didn't pay anything, so I saw somebody said it helped out their parlays, but, I mean, it wasn't even that much of a parlay multiplier, but the riddle was there. There just wasn't really anything that looked good for the Rangers at all, and they got smoked. It's about as bad as you can get beat in hockey. And you got to love it, too, right? 3-9 in a hockey game. That's a lot of goals. New York, 39. Just New York and 39, it never fails. But this game, to me, was the ball breaker. We did see that the Jets had a chance to win because they'd be 11-9 on the season, and Winnipeg is 119. And the Jets rallied in this game to win it. Had Florida won, they would have picked up the 25th points. Winnipeg's 97, the 25th prime. And had Winnipeg... Hold on, we got a call here. Caller?
Zach, it was so funny during that Ranger game. So they start their Gegozie, so he's got a 4-3-1 record. So obviously 4-4 Rangers, right? So he gets yanked, and they put Lundqvist in. He's got the same identical record. It's like they had no shot yesterday whatsoever.
And they were a super big underdog too. Not that those lines actually matter that much in hockey, but it just did not look good for the Rangers.
Yeah, totally. And then that Buffalo game, it was actually about the goalie. And when I called, I said the only narrative they have is the goalie, and he lost. He became 6-4.
Well, I wouldn't say that's the only narrative they had.
Well, no, sorry, the 5-3 as well. But there was something else that I was like, and that was Carolina's future schedule. They played Chicago. Not this game coming up, but the Nets game, I believe. And Chicago Blackhawks is heavily coded with 37. And that relates to Rod Brindamore, the Carolina coach.
Sure. Chicago Blackhawks is also 97, the 25th prime, so they might end up getting their 25th points against them.
Yeah. But, that was just it was a very tight game, and that's why I ended it overtime, because things matched up for Buffalo's coach as well. Very interesting game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's something I wanted to point out to you. When you get some time, look at Jimmy Butler. I want you to follow Jimmy Butler and his teams where he's played in correlation with Super Bowls. And I see a pattern, and I like Miami to play Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Miami and Boston, huh?
I do, and I like Utah and the Lakers. And I think Boston's going to play the Lakers in the championship.
Okay. Man, I don't know, though, because NBA loves ratings, man. I mean, there's not really too many Utah Jazz fans.
I think it's coming full circle with Gordon Hayward going to Boston. And Utah's got a pretty good team on paper. They made a lot of good signings. They recently signed their coach to an extension. And I think the Clippers is the bait. That's what I think. And there was one other point. Yeah, there we go. AD's been the story. But the first team to be in on AD were the Boston Celtics.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. The Lakers are about to become 6-1 at home against the Kings, and the Celtics are about to become 6-1 away against the Kings. And finals is 61, so I'm thinking they might do this. Lakers-Celtics again.
Yep, and then at the beginning of the season as well, the Celtics were only 6-1 to win the whole thing, with a bunch of rookies and Kemba Walker, like only 6-1. That was it.
That's the finals number, 6-1. So.
Yep. Let me ask you: do you see anything for them to possibly win the championship?
Well, if LeBron lost in the finals, he'd be 3-7, and Los Angeles does equal 37. But I'm sticking with my thought about him starting this year, doing 3 finals and winning all 3 to get to 6-6, because LeBron and Lakers are both 66. So.
Mm-hmm. Also, I read an article, and it was very interesting because they had a draft, next year's draft, and the number 29 team were the Lakers, but the number 30 team were the Celtics.
Interesting.
Yeah, I found that very interesting. But anyway, then I looked. The Celtics have 17 NBA championships, so I'm thinking, we know the Yankees have 27, so the potential of them winning it could be slim, as you pointed out many times. But I don't know what the correlation, if there is one, for basketball would be.
Yeah, I got to think about that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to share those thoughts.
All right, appreciate it, man.
All right, Zach.
All right, sweet. Okay, so anyway, Lightning was the one-way street of the hockey games yesterday. The Jets, they did have a lot more lineup for them the Panthers had a lot more lining up for them yesterday than the Jets did. The home and away records made perfect sense on both sides. The points riddle was there. It was just Winnipeg 119, and that's what happened. So, talked about how the Wild looked better than the Coyotes. I just didn't like that the Wild were favorites. If I'm going to take the Wild over the Coyotes, I want to get some better value out of it. It wasn't that bad of a value, but Wild did win this game. They had the better riddle. They won it 3-2. Close game. But what we saw was Minnesota could get those 15 points, 47 days left in the year, the 15th prime. We saw that if it went to overtime, it might make sense if Arizona lost in overtime. That didn't happen. And we saw that the Wild could become 4-2 at home. Arizona 42, so Wild got it there, but it's tough to take the Wild over the Coyotes, who were hot, so the points riddle did prevail. The Oilers and the Avalanche game, again, it looked better for the Oilers here. We talked about how if they won this game, it would set them up for the next game against Dallas. Oilers had the chance to pick up the 15th home points on the day, leaving 47 days left in the year. They got it done. And the one riddle for the Avalanche was that they had a chance at their 12th win against Edmonton. Edmonton's 37, the 12th prime. They also had a chance at their 8th loss on the 19-date numerology. And again, it's usually the points. Even though the points riddles for getting close to a week now haven't been as hot as they were prior to that, they're still coming through the majority of times. So if you're sticking with the points, you're winning more than not. And the Stars and Canucks game, Vancouver was on 23 points. We saw that their next game's against Colorado, 83, the 23rd prime. So I was like, do they stay on the 23 to face Colorado? We saw that they played the Stars last night, then they play Colorado, and then they play at the Dallas Stars. Dallas Stars is 27, so I'm thinking the Canucks will likely have their 27th points by the conclusion of that next Stars game. So perhaps they will win the next two games. And let's see. Dallas, they could have fallen to 4-7 away on the day, leaving 47 days left in the year. Vancouver, they could have picked up their 14th points at home yesterday. Stars is 14. So Vancouver did have a points riddle through the home record, but then the record up here was a little bit, they were kind of contradictory of each other. The Sharks and Ducks game, like we said, both teams had a points riddle. So it made it tough in that one. And I believe the Sharks won this game. Let me see. Yeah, Sharks won at 5-3. They won in the Honda Center 53. We saw that if Anaheim lost, they would stay on 14 points. San Jose is 43, the 14th prime, 14 points at home. They were on 20 points overall, which was tricky because San Jose is 20, but Sharks is 22. And then San Jose had the chance at the 19th points on the 19-date numerology. They did get those. So, a little bit tight. And then the Red Wings and Kings game. What was tough about this one is Red Wings equals 45 and 54, but we saw LA plays Vegas next, and Vegas is 54. So LA won in a close game in overtime, and now they will host Vegas with a 5-4 record at home, and Vegas is 54. Detroit had the chance to become 4-7 on the day, leaving 47 days left in the year, and man, now I'm mad at myself. I don't think I mentioned what I should have mentioned yesterday. I mentioned it in the other games. I don't know why I didn't mention it in this one. But LA had a chance at their 15th points yesterday on the day, leaving 47 days left in the year. And Detroit stayed on 50. Well, actually, Detroit got plus 1 point. Los Angeles 53, the 16th prime. So those things should have been in the notes. It's probably the last game I did yesterday, and I was running late yesterday. I'm just going to add this stuff so when people go back, they can see. Because this is what should have been written. Would be on 16 points with an OT loss. That is what ended up happening. And then 47 days left in the year. 15th prime. So, but the one thing that was there for LA is if they won, they were going to be 5-4 at home. And they host Vegas next. So, yeah, that wasn't an omission. Whoops. Okay. Okay, so it was an okay day yesterday. It could have been better. I'm mad that I missed that yesterday. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about today. Let's start with the NBA today. I think the NBA is a little bit better than hockey today. I'm not crazy about this Pistons-Hornets game. Something to watch for, though, in it is... The problem is it can play either way. Because today's the 15th day of the month, 15's the 5th triangular number, the 5th triangular number. So in this game, the 5 could play a number of ways. The Pistons could get their 5th win, stay on 5 away losses, and give the Hornets their 5th home loss. But notice the Hornets can also get that 5th home win. So that's tough. The Pistons have lost the last 4 at Charlotte, so they could win, or excuse me, not win. They could lose the 5th in a row at Charlotte. Pistons are 4-7 in the conference. They could win their 5th game in the conference. They do play the Chicago Bulls next, the Pistons, and Chicago Bulls is 49 in the most pure cipher. It has an S in the 58s there, but I've documented a lot more 49 with the Chicago Bulls over the years than 58, that's for sure. So if the Pistons lose this game, they probably are going to lose to the Bulls in their next conference game to fall to 4-9 in the conference. The Hornets are 2-2 in the conference. And let me just look at it one more time because I don't think I saw anything for their next opponent. Yeah, the Knicks. It's probably the most likely thing that they split the next 2. But that doesn't help us out with today. Hold on. Let me look at the... Let me just make sure I'm not missing something. So, yeah. The Hornets' next game is against the Knicks. And... let me just make sure that we can't figure this out. We know New York's 3-9 right now. It's hard to say what they would do against Charlotte. Conference record again. New York's 1-7 in the conference. Does Charlotte have a 61 connection? Hold on. If there's a 61 connection, maybe the Knicks fall to... well, the Knicks have a 61 connection now that I think about it. If they fell to 1-8 in the conference. Charlotte doesn't have that connection. The Hornets, the next home game they play is against Chicago. And it makes me think of Jordan. But if the Hornets split their next 2 home games, they would be 3-5, and Chicago's 35. If they lost both, they'd be 2-6. Jordan's 26. So a little bit tricky there. I just thought of one more thing, actually, though. If the Hornets won the next 2, they'd be 6-7, and Knicks equals 67. But then they wouldn't split that conference record. I guess it is worth considering that MSG and NYC are 42. It doesn't always have to go that way. It's not always perfect with the conference records. Knicks equals 67. So is North Carolina. If Charlotte wins next 2, they will be 6-7. So I still think this game's pretty dangerous. But just trying to think of all the avenues here. So even if we can't get this game, have a good read on the next one. Maybe it's Charlotte NC that's 61. Yeah, it is. Charlotte NC is 61. That's what it is. Okay. Well, I don't think that's the safest game of the game. There's a group of games that look decent today. The Spurs and Magic game, they're not one of my favorite games either. It's the 62nd game. San Antonio Spurs is 62. I swear, once upon a time when things used to line up like that, it seemed to consistently be that team would take the game, but I don't know. In recent times, it hasn't felt that way. So San Antonio Spurs 62 in the most pure cipher. Magic do not have that 62 connection. The Spurs lead 43-18. The Magic are 12-18 at home. Magic are 1-3 versus the West. Haven't been playing too well versus the West. If they lost, they'd be 1-4. The reflection of 4-1, the San Antonio number, and they host Golden State next. Golden State's also 41 like San Antonio. Orlando, FL's 43 the 14th prime. The Spurs are 2-2 versus the East. In light of it being the 15th of the month, the 5th triangular number, the Magic can pick up the 5th win, and Spurs could stay on 5 wins, so that's one thing that's there. Magic would also get the 5th home win. The 5 could play for them in 2 ways. Amway Center, of course, is 47 the 15th prime, to come back to that 15-5 relationship. I noticed that if San Antonio lost their next 2 games, they play at home against Portland. They haven't been playing very well lately. And I imagine Portland's going to pick it up here at some point. Their team is injured right now, but I don't think the Blazers are going to continue to be a bottom dweller. Anyway, San Antonio's 58. If San Antonio lost this game and the next game back in San Antonio to Portland, they'd fall to 5-8. And the Blazers, they would become 5-8 as well. So I think if San Antonio loses this game, that is probable in their next Blazers game. What I don't like about the Magic is if they lose, they're 4-4 at home and they host the Wizards next. Wizards is 44. So I think if the Magic lose, they'll definitely be golden to beat Washington in the next game because Orlando Magic's 58 and Washington's 58. But there's a chance they could win both. So, anyway, I think that game's a little bit tough. Pacers and Rockets. Pacers have an upset narrative here. So far this season, though, normally when there's a riddle like this, it's a good sign, but there's already been at least 2 games, maybe 3, where we had this exact same type of scenario and they haven't come through. So that's why I'm a little bit hesitant to pull the trigger on this. But if the Pacers win, both teams are 8-4, and Indiana Pacers equals 84. And normally that's an encouraging sign. Problem here is the fives again. The fives would go against the Pacers today. Again, the 15th of the month, the 5th triangular number. If the Pacers lose, they pick up their 5th loss, and the Rockets get their 5th home win. The Pacers would also lose their 5th straight game to the Rockets. So all of those fives go in favor of the Rockets. And the one thing that could go against the Rockets in the head-to-head record is they could pick up the 15th loss at home on the 15th of the month to the Pacers. Let's see. Harden's an 11-7 versus the Pacers. If the Pacers won this game, they would be 3-3 heading into New York. They play Brooklyn next. I'm not sure the 33 really counts with Brooklyn, even though they're a New York team. It's like it didn't play yesterday with the Nuggets game, and Nuggets is 33. So the Rockets, they host the Trailblazers next. Trailblazers is 181 the 42nd prime. If they lost, they'd be 4-2 at home. But if they won, they'd be 5-1. And that number always seems to show up with James Harden, 51. Not exactly sure why that is. But Blazers also has a 61 Gematria. So if they won their next 2 games, they'd be 6-1 at home. Caller?
Rockets could pick up their 38th all-time loss to the Pacers, too. 38 numerology.
Yeah, you're right about that. You're right. Mm-hmm.
And their center, Clinton Peller's out with a concussion today.
Oh, the Rockets is?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that could definitely make a difference.
Yeah, 89% on the Rockets.
Well, if I took the Rockets, I'd take those points.
Yeah, for the safe side.
Yeah, because
with Cleveland.
Yeah, at first I was like, oh, this looks like an upset, but then I saw how all those fives lined up, and they all stacked for the Rockets, so that's what worries me.
Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. All right, man. Appreciate it. All right, see you. Hold on. Somebody just sent a text message. Let me make sure it's not somebody. Somebody just texted that Carmelo Anthony is signing with Portland. Huh, that's interesting. Carmelo in Portland, It's weird that he's not on the team. It doesn't even make sense. We're going to have to look at that story. Here, let's go. I want to get to the good games here, and then we'll look at this Carmelo story. Also, the other thing about the Rockets is if they win today, they will be 9-3, and they play the Minnesota Timberwolves next. Minnesota Timberwolves is 93, the team from the 93rd Meridian. So if I'm taking the Pacers, I'm definitely taking the points because dangerous game. Caller?
Hey, what's going on, Zach?
What's up, Victor? Nice work yesterday.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. So I wanted to get some to you. I wanted to ask you a question because I'm not going to be around the whole show. So being that today is the...
You cut out. You said today being the, and then you cut out.
Okay, I'm sorry. Today being 11/15.
Right.
So looking like, the 115th World Series just passed. It was 16 days ago, the reflection of 61.
Okay.
So I was thinking about Philly, for example. So if I'm a big believer in the possible three-peat with LeBron, and the three-peat would happen in 2022, that would be the 76 NBA Finals. So I feel like a big indication of the three-peat happening would be the first one to be against the 76ers. So if you pay attention to today, Philly can become 4-4. Champions, when you write it out, equals 44 and 46. Today leaves 46 days left in the year. Champions also equals 53, the 16th prime. And finals also equals 101 and 61. The reflection of 16, and we all know the 101 connection with Philly. And if they win, they'll be 8-4, and Cleveland equals 48. So I was wondering what you thought about Philly possibly, and the indicator of today. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that's really interesting. Again, at the beginning of the year when they had their TNT debut thing, all of those guys picked the Lakers and 76ers to be the championship. But with what you just said, I mean, why couldn't it be Lakers 76ers in the 76th NBA season?
Because the last repeat happened against New Jersey, who's now Brooklyn. And not just that, they encoded, so the 24 has been happening a lot too, Zach. This year, the NBA Finals was 4-2. The last three-peat happened 24 years ago. Kobe Bryant wore the number 24. He's a former Laker that was on that three-peat team. NJ, when you write it out, equals 24. Canada had the 24 connection last year. So I just like LeBron beating Brooklyn in 2020.
Okay.
2022. I'm sorry.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, it makes sense. And Laddie, you looking at this game as for championship symbolism. I'm also just seeing that if the Thunder won, they'd be 5-7 and 5-3 at home because NBA Finals is 57, Los Angeles 53.
That's a possibility too.
Because the 76ers record to be a reflection of that, they'd be 7-5 and 3-5 away. But yeah, what I saw in this game is the date numerology is what made it. I'm not crazy about that game today either. Just the date numerology looks good for the Thunder. They could get the 71st win, 71 the 20th prime on the 20 date numerology, and then they could get their 38th home win on the 38 date numerology. So.
But is there something to the 16 days after the World Series? Should we look out for something today, or am I reaching with that?
Well, it's a good thought, man. I mean, I didn't even think about it, so. It's
okay.
Yeah, it's something to consider. But yeah,
just because it's the World Series, and we like to interconnect everything, and that makes everything a little bit more clear. The 61, obviously, we've been paying attention to with the other teams, but even in light of the last caller with the Boston thing, I just think because the NBA has been teasing repeats over the last 20 years. There's been 4 or 5 teams that have won 2 and then haven't won the third. You know, and specifically, there's been several teams that have won 2 out of 4.
Right.
And Miami, when LeBron was in Miami, he won 2 out of 4. He won 2 championships out of the 4 years he was there. So that's another 24 for you.
Right. That's true.
So, but that's all I'm thinking. I just wanted to get that.
All right. I appreciate it, man. That's it. Okay. So, yeah. There's some games down here that I do like, though. 76ers and Thunder. Again, it's hard to trust the Thunder. 76ers, ever since the Ben Simmons injury, haven't been playing as hot. But the date numerology looks good for the Thunder in this one. If the 76ers did fall to 7-5, Oklahoma City, okay, like how they write it, is 75. And the 76ers play at the Cavaliers next. If they lost this game today, they'd be 3-5. And then they got the Cavaliers next, 36. They could drop both games. And then the 76ers would become 7-6. So And what he was just saying with maybe foreshadowing for the 76th NBA season, because they do things that way. He's right. I mean, they drop riddles that are years in advance. Case in point with what we just documented with the Nationals World Series, having to go back 2 years to the Steve Scalise shooting. But so, yeah, just looking at the 76ers, their upcoming away game, I mean, very possible they do lose the next two. The Thunder play the LA Clippers next, and if they lost today, they'd be 4-8, and then they could fall to 4-9 in the Staples Center. Staples Center's 49. But never mind, excuse me. I'm just not sure what I was about to say, but if they did lose, they would be 4-9 in their next game in LA, which is very likely that they'll lose that game. So, also the other thing here for the Thunder is if they do win today, they're 5-3 at home, and they host Los Angeles Lakers next. So they'd be 5-3, Los Angeles 53. I mean, to me, it looks like a little bit more lines up for the Thunder than the 76ers today. And I do think if the 76ers drop this game, they probably are going to lose that next one to the Cavs. So they would fall to 3-6 away, Cavaliers 36, and 7-6 on the season. Okay, now Jazz and Grizzlies. I dig the Jazz today. I like the Jazz riddle. The Jazz can improve to 6-3 in the conference. Jazz is 63. Memphis is 34, but we know between the 34 and 25, it's the 25 that plays harder for the Grizzlies. They can fall to 2-5 at home. Hold on, we got a call here. Caller?
Yeah, I'm calling about the Sixers game. The Sixers coach can pick up his 319th regular season loss. Today is the 319th day of the year.
I know you're exactly right about that. That's a good catch. That is a good catch right there.
Yep, I've seen that. I figured I'd share it with you. I'm like, wow, what a perfect time to pick it up.
Yeah, that's a great catch. So, yeah, I'm just going to verify it real quick here. So, Brett Brown, let's see. Yep, you're right. His next loss is 319. I know for a fact today is the 319th day of the year. You're right on about that. So, yeah, that's a great catch.
All right, buddy.
All right, thanks, man.
No problem.
All right, see you. All right, 76ers coach can pick up 319th loss on 319th day of the year today. And again, Oklahoma City, okay, 75. The date numerology is very supportive of the Thunder today. So yeah, that might be the icebreaker, even though already more was pointing to the Thunder. So, and again, Thunder are an underdog, so you can take the points too, just in case they lose in a close one. But the Jazz and Grizzlies game, the biggest concern for me about the Jazz in this game is they can get the 33rd loss. Tennessee is 137, the 33rd prime. Doesn't have to happen today. But I like that the Jazz can get to 6-3 in the conference. Jazz 63. And I like that the Jazz face the Timberwolves next. Minnesota Timberwolves 93. They would face them 9-3 with a win today. And the Grizzlies, you got Memphis 34 there, but you also have the 25 riddle. And this doesn't count as a typical Memphis 25 riddle. The 25 riddles are more like when it comes to something between the teams, giving a team the 25th loss, a team picking up the 25th win, or becoming 2-5, etc. So this is like the Grizzlies' own individual record, but in light of the fact that 25 does play with that team, if I have to pick between them going to 3-4 at home and 2-5 at home, I'm going to lean 25, especially when the Jazz have these nice things lining up for them based on their next opponent. So, favor the Jazz there. The Wizards and Timberwolves game, this is the 59th game between these teams, which is the 17th prime, and the Wolves are 16-12 at home, so they can get their 17th home win in the 59th game, 59 to 17th prime, big prime number relationship. If the Wizards lose, they'll fall to 1-5 away on the 15th of the month, so that's another one. Minnesota's also 47, the 15th prime. And Minnesota can become 6-2 versus the East. Right now they're 5-2. Minnesota's 52. Minneapolis is 62. So becoming 6-2 versus the East in Minneapolis makes sense. And if the Wolves win their next 2 home games, they will become 5-2 at home as well. They play the Houston Rockets next at home. Houston, Texas is 181, the 42nd prime. So if Houston comes in while they're 4-2, that makes a bit of sense as well. So like the Timberwolves here. The Celtics and Warriors, I expect the Celtics to win their next 2 games. If you want to parlay that, the Celtics winning tonight and their next game against the Kings. The reason I like it, well, there's a bunch of reasons I like it. If the Celtics win their next 2 away games, they're 6-1. Sacramento Kings is 61. And tonight's riddle's perfect too. If the Warriors lose, they become 2-11. And if the Celtics win, they're 10-1, like 101. Remember, Philadelphia is 101, the old home of the Warriors. But the new building, Chase Center, also equals 101. So perfect place to become 10-1 for the season. And then the Warriors fall into 2-11. 2-11 is the 47th prime. Chase Center is 47. So, and I think it's all about the building. And isn't it just funny how the world of sports, man, it happens quite a bit where a team gets a new arena and then their team just goes to shit. It's just like the ultimate FU. The taxpayers pay all this money for the stadium. And now when they go to the games, they get their heart broken, and they're like, what did I just pay all this money for? I'm telling you, man, the people who run this world, they love it. They love it. So, caller?
Hey, Zach, thanks for pointing out that 57, because I didn't catch that at first, so I went back, did a little bit more work on it. Seattle Sonics turned into Oklahoma City in 2008.
Right.
And OKC is 9-1 at home versus Philly.
Oh, they're 9-1 ever since they went to Oklahoma City?
Yep.
So they could become 10-1 like Philadelphia's 101.
Yep. So.
Are you sure that's right? Or I guess that is right because they're Eastern and Western Conference. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that's a great catch. That's a great catch.
Trust me, I didn't like it when I saw it, but yeah, it's right.
Yeah. I think that because I was already thinking that it looked a little bit better here for the Thunder, but yeah, with these 2 things, the 319th loss on the 319th day, and now the 10-1 thing, Philadelphia and 101 is a big number. So.
Yeah, but that 7-5 would also still play into that narrative that I was telling you about. And the funny thing is also, I went back and checked. So the 3-peat that Michael Jordan had with the Bulls, he won all 3 of them 4-2 every series.
Huh. You know what else? You know what else about this whole Philadelphia thing with the 10-1 thing? Philadelphia is also 65. If the Thunder win today, they'll stay on 65 losses. So yeah, I think you're onto something with these observations.
Okay, all right, but yeah, thanks for that 75. I totally looked over that, and I forgot that was a big number too. Super indicator right there.
Yeah.
All right,
good work, man.
I'm listening.
All right, see you, man. All right, here. I just want to go back and I trust everything he's 1-3, 1-4. Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute. 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, 7-1, 8-1, 9-1. Yep, he's exactly right, man. 9-1, so they can become 10-1. That's a really good one. Yeah, I dig that. Philadelphia and 101. The year we had the Patriots and Eagles Super Bowl locked in after Week 3, we said watch Philadelphia start the season 10-1. The Eagles, that's exactly what they did. So that looks good there for the Thunder. There's some nice. It already looked good, and now we got 2 really nice additional things to believe in here. Okay, nice. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about the Warriors and another 101 riddle, because the Warriors often do Philadelphia tributes. So, again, Celtics become 10-1 against the Warriors. Chase Center's 101. Philadelphia's 101. Warriors fall to 211, like 211, the 47th prime. And Chase Center's also 47. And Celtics win this one and the next road game, which is against the Kings. They're 6-1 away. Sacramento Kings is 61. And the Lakers tonight are going to become 6-1 at home against the Kings. Well, that's what I expect them to do. And, the Kings can fall to 2-4 away as well, which makes sense because King James is 89, which is the 24th prime, and Los Angeles, if you use the exceptions over here with the E, Los Angeles is 89, but Los Angeles, California is also 89, 24th prime. So good team to become 2-4 against. But this right here is what takes the cake. And just make this note too. Kings can fall to 2-4 away. Los Angeles. And King James. Okay, so, all right, just again, Lakers look good tonight. Celtics look good tonight. Timberwolves look good tonight. Jazz look good tonight. Thunder look good tonight. Rockets and Pacers. I feel like you're playing with a little bit of fire here. So you want to get greedy? I'd take the Pacers with the points, but again, man, I just don't know, man, because if the Rockets win and they cover, there is a good chance they win because they'd become 9-3 to face the Minnesota Timberwolves. But Indiana Pacers is 84. Both teams could be 8-4. So again, like we talked about, 5 could be a big number today. All the 5s go against the Pacers in this game. Could be a 5-point game. If it is a 5-point game, Pacers would cover. But again, I encourage you not to get greedy. These tighter games, that's you know me. When I try to call these tighter games, I don't have a high winning percentage in tighter games. That's for sure. Yeah, Spurs and Magic. I feel the same way about this game too. I'd probably let this one go here. The 5s really do play in favor of the Magic. They really do, but still not crazy about that one. What's up, Rod?
What's going on, Zach? Everything all right?
Everything's all right. What's going on?
Oh, that much. A little observation. Charlotte, they can lose 5 straight, but the thing is, they beat Detroit 6 times straight. So I wanted to put that out there. They hold a 6-game record against Detroit, but they can actually lose their 5th game today.
So that's what's tough about the Hornets game, because they can get the 5th win or the 5th home loss. Pistons can get that 5th win of the season and stay on 5 away losses, or the Pistons can also lose their 5th straight at Charlotte. So
Right, and Charlotte can actually lose their 5th straight game too, like win streak.
Oh, for how many days? Just for this immediate season?
Right. And so Houston at 5, and then Indiana can be at the 5 game for the season too. If Indiana win today, they'll have a 5-game win streak.
I see that.
And they'll end Houston 5-game win streak, because I know you're just big on the 5s.
That's a really good observation there. Yep, Houston's on 5. Pacers can win the 5th straight. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. And then, that's about it. I was going to say, too, I don't know if Chris, one of the callers, I don't know if he's out there in Vegas, but any of your Vegas callers, man, like on Monday, if they want to meet up, you know what I mean? Lunch can be on me, you know what I mean? If you could just put that out. And it might not work, but I was just trying to network since I'm going to be out there for like 2 or 3 days. So if you can, man, you could try to plug me in, maybe.
Of course, yeah. I'm sure Chris is listening right now. So if Chris wants to meet up, I'll get you guys each other's phone numbers.
Okay. Like I said, I do lunch, and we can just kind of get us a game Monday. I got one keyed in, but I want to talk to you, Paul, for everybody. You know what I mean? I don't even want to put it on here because I'm trying to go real large. But yep, I'll let you get back to it.
All right, Ron. Yeah, no problem, man.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
Yeah, I forgot about just the individual streaks. So yeah, streaks of 5 that could hit today. So Pacers could win the 5th straight. All right, let's plug that in the notes here. Pacers can win 5th straight. Whoops, what's this? What is this? Rockets winning streak would be snapped at 5 with a loss. Again, 15th of month, 5th triangular number. And for people who are like, what are triangular numbers? If you add 1 through 5 together, it equals 15. Okay. The Hornets could lose 5 in a row, like Roger said. Hold on. I've been forgetting to look at this so far this season. I gotta not forget this. Didn't already know. I'll put it up here. Pistons don't have any kind of streak going. They're on a 3-game losing streak. I see the Jazz could win their 5th straight too, and I was already liking the Jazz, so that just gives me more confidence in them. Jazz can win 5th straight game. Right. And all right, so that's it for the streaks of 5. All right, let's just go over it one more time. I like the Lakers a lot. I like the Celtics a lot. I like the Timberwolves. I like the Jazz. I like the Thunder. Pacers and Rockets, I still feel like it's a little bit dangerous. But I do like this new observation that the Pacers can win the 5th straight and snap the Rockets' winning streak at 5. So I'm gonna put this on my next shelf down though of picks I like tonight. We just went through the top shelf. Now we're going down to the next shelf. Spurs and Magic. I don't want to mess with this game. Nope, I don't like it. And Pistons and Hornets. Yeah, Hornets can't lose the 5th straight, man. There's still 5s all over the place. Pistons could also lose their 5th straight at Harlot. Yeah, I don't want to mess with that game. I don't want to mess with it. Okay, so that's basketball. Hockey. Hold on, we got a call here. Caller?
Hey, Zach, what's up?
What's up, man?
Hey, if I'm not mistaken, when you had the screen up looking at them wins and loss streaks, I believe Golden State has lost 5 straight.
Hold on, let me go back to it.
Watch that juggernaut.
Let me go back to it. Where's Golden State? Yeah, they have lost 5 straight. Yeah, so that's one thing to think about. I still really like that the Celtics can become 6-1 away by beating the Kings in the next game. I'm looking for that to happen because I think that could be a big clue for Lakers Celtics maybe this year.
Oh yeah, definitely. I just want to point that out.
Yeah, you're right. I appreciate that observation. So.
No problem.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Again, even like when there's a day where there's a rock solid pattern, like say it was in 6 games. Some days it'll hit in every single game, but probably 85% of the time, if there's a rock solid pattern, it's probably in there. Let's say it could show up in 6 games. It's probably going to hit in at least 4 out of the 6 games, maybe 5 out of 6. It's not going to hit in every single game. So I like the Warriors to lose. I'm not coming off that one. Okay, Bruins and Maple Leafs. So, if the Bruins won today, they would be 5-4 away. How many Maple Leafs games have we seen recently with scores of 5-4? So that is there. The game's on ESPN, which equals 54. But even still, I'm not going to touch this game because I see that if the Bruins lose, I suspect they'll probably lose in overtime to stay on this 4-3 because they're at New Jersey next. Toronto could stay on 22 points against Boston. And Boston can stay on 26 points on 11-15. I just don't see anything that gives me too much confidence. If the Maple Leafs do win, though, the Maple Leafs win. They're 7-2 at home, and Toronto's 72 in Toronto Maple Leafs. So, anyway, I'm going to leave that game alone. Penguins and Devils. New Jersey is on 14 points right now. Might make sense for them to stay on 14 points, possibly get to 15 with an overtime loss because New Jersey equals 43, which is the 14th prime, but New Jersey also equals 47, which is the 15th prime. We just saw Ottawa get their 15th points against New Jersey. Canadiens is who the Devils play next. Canadiens equals 43, the 14th prime if they stayed on those 14 points. If they stayed on those 14 points. And let's see. The Penguins, they could get their 5th away win today. Again, I'm really watching the 5s today, so the Penguins can pick up that 5th away win. And the Devils, they could potentially get their 5th loss in overtime today at home. So, also if the Devils drop their next 2 games, they host the Bruins next. And that's one of the better teams in the East. So if the Devils lose their next 2 games, they're 2-9 at home, and Bruins is 29. If the Devils lost in regulation, they would be 5-9-4 for the season. Pittsburgh does equal 59. So I like the Penguins here. The only ingredient missing is a good riddle for Pittsburgh, but pretty much everything else still makes it look like Pittsburgh's got this game. Canadiens and Capitals, I think this is the best points riddle of the day. Washington can pick up the 34th points. Canadiens is 34 in the most pure cipher, so I like that. Montreal might lose this game in overtime. They play the Devils next. They'll probably win that game. And Devils equals 26, so Montreal would have to pick up 1 point in this game to have a chance at 26 versus the Devils. And so anyway, it doesn't always have to be that way too. I mean, they might not get any points, but I do like that Washington can get their 34th points against the Canadiens. If Montreal loses, they're 4-6 away. Montreal's 46. They play at Columbus next. The Canadiens do. If they lose their next 2 games, they'll be 4-7. Columbus is 47. The Capitals, they can pick up their 15th points at home today on the 15th of the month as well. And they play in DC, 47, the 15th prime. The only thing I see for Montreal, this is kind of like yesterday, what got us with the Winnipeg game, but I think this is like the same thing that got us in the Winnipeg game. I don't think it's going to get us 2 days in a row. Montreal also equals 118. If the Canadiens won, they would be 11-8 for the season. So that's the one thing there, but again, points are still usually where it's at. Again, they haven't been as hot as they were for the last week, but they've still been better than normal. And just looking at everything here, I mean, I got to roll with the Capitals. Plus, they can get their 15th overall win of the season, too, plus their 15 points at home on the 15th. So, Capitals are also a team that easy to have confidence in. The Blues and the Blue Jackets. This game right here, if Columbus loses in overtime, they will have 17 points. Blues equals 59, the 17th prime. So there's your points riddle. Best points riddle on the board. The concern for the Blues is they are on 15 points away. Doesn't mean they have to stay on them on the 15th. They are playing in Columbus. Columbus is 47, the 15th prime, but sometimes they come in and advance off that. If the Blues did lose, they'd be 7-4 away. St. Louis is 74. But looking at who they play next, Nashville Predators, which equals 83, they can improve to 8-3. And so often teams are coming in with records that sync up with the next team. So push comes to shove, I think it's probably more likely they get to that 8-3 and 7-4. But there is a little bit of danger here. And if Columbus won, they would be 4-6 on the day, leaving 46 days left in the year. So there is that too. Yeah, actually, never mind. I would leave this game alone today. They play Montreal next. Montreal equals 46, so they could improve to 4-6 today and then host the team. So Yeah, I forgot that both of them had the same thing where their records could sync up with the next opponent. But something to watch for in this game is if the Blues do pick up the 30th points today, they should be golden to get the 32nd points against the Ducks. They play the Ducks next, the Blues. So if they didn't pick up the points, they'd probably still be golden against the Ducks because Ducks is 13 and they could get the 13th win against them. So I might sit this one out today. There's enough decent games in basketball that you don't have to be greedy with hockey today. But yeah, this is what I'd be looking for. If the Blues pick it up, should be golden against the Ducks. Flyers and Senators. Philly, pretty decent favorite on the road. Ottawa has a chance of getting those 17 points at home, and Ottawa does equal 17 in the most pure cipher. The next team that Ottawa plays is the Sabres, which is 19. So if they pick up those 17th points today, they very well might beat the Sabres, who are really struggling. Sabres got off to one of the best starts in the league and have been terrible since that. If Philadelphia lost today, they would fall to 4-6 away on the day, leaving 46 days left in the year. The one thing to consider, though, for the Flyers is if they won today and they won their next away game, which is in Florida, they would be 6-5 away. And Florida's 65. Of course, I didn't write it down because we talk about it so much, but I'll write it down. Philadelphia's 65 too. So if Flyers win this game, they're probably going to beat Florida in the next one to get to 6-5 away. Big Philly number and also a Florida number. The other thought is if Philadelphia lost this game, they could fall to 4-7 in the next game against the Panthers. So you can actually, I suspect if Philadelphia wins, they win the next game. If they lose, they probably lose the next game. And let's see, Ottawa, their next home game is against the Rangers. Rangers is 37, the 12th prime. If they didn't pick up the points today, they could get those 12 points at home against the Rangers in the next one. And Philadelphia does have that double connection to 118. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is 118, and Philadelphia, PA is 118. So a little bit tricky there. They'd be the Flyers would be 11-8 with a win. If the Senators won, they would be 8-11. The reflection. So yeah, I might let this game go too. Again, there's enough decent games in basketball today that I might just stick with. This is looking like the better hockey game here. And yeah, so that's what we have to work with in hockey. Pretty tight riddles today. Well, the Penguins game doesn't look too bad either. So Penguins and Capitals, I think those are the more favorable games in hockey today. I think the other ones, if you took them, they're not the type of games you'd be shocked if you went wrong. So okay, let's review that one more time for hockey. Penguins look better to beat the Devils because of the points riddles and the date. The Penguins getting that 5th away win. Devils potentially getting their 5th loss in overtime. Devils loss sets them up for a loss in the next game. And let me check who the Penguins play away again, because I see I didn't write down anything, so I must not have saw anything, but I just want to look at it one more time. Their next away game is the Islanders. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's nothing there with that. Yeah, there's nothing there with that. I guess I could look past it. Islanders, we play the Islanders twice. And the Blue Jackets, Columbus. Well, they'd have to lose 3 straight away games to get to 4-7 versus Columbus. Losing at the Islanders is very possible, but losing at the Devils and at Columbus, probably not. So, yeah, I still think the Penguins have the better riddle here, and I think the Capitals got the most complete riddle for hockey. So, Caps and Penguins, the teams I'd stick with in hockey, and again in NBA, just one more time. go from the bottom because that's where the better games were. Lakers to get to 6-1 at home. Sacramento Kings 61. Finals 61. King 61. Celtics to win because both teams' records will sync up with the stadium perfectly. Plus, if the Celtics win today, it sets them up for their next away game, which is against the Kings, and they can become 6-1 away. And again, if the Lakers and Celtics both become 6-1 versus the Kings, that's the big finals number. So, got to think about that one. Timberwolves, I like them to beat the Wizards tonight. They got the prime number relationship with the all-time record. Makes sense if the Wizards become 1-5 versus the West on the 15th in Minnesota. Makes sense if Minneapolis becomes 6-2 versus the East because Minneapolis is 62. And Jazz look good. Again, they'll face the Minnesota Timberwolves next, 93. They'll become 6-3 in the conference. Jazz 63. And Jazz can also win that 5th straight game on the 15th of the month, the 5th triangular number. Thunder. They look like they got it going on. The head-to-head record makes sense. The 76ers falling to 7-5 in OKC makes sense. The Thunder's next home game makes sense so long as they win today. They would be 5-3 to host Los Angeles 53. The 76ers coach picking up his 319th loss on the 319th day of the year makes sense. The Thunder becoming 10-1 versus Philly in the time they've been in Oklahoma City, 10-1 at home. Philadelphia 101 makes sense. So Thunder look good. Pacers and Rockets. Again, I think this game's dangerous. I'm ever so slightly leaning to the Pacers, but I don't know if I would play it. If I did, I would definitely take those points with the Pacers. It is nice that the Pacers can win their 5th straight and they can snap the Rockets' winning streak at 5. That is nice. I worry about the Rockets going into the Minnesota Timberwolves 9-3, but again, Indiana Pacers equals 84. Both teams would be 8-4 with the Pacers upset. So, if the Rockets did lose, they'd be 4-2 at home. Houston, Texas is 181, the 42nd prime. Did I write that down? I wrote it down for the Trailblazers. I guess I could have wrote down for Houston, Texas too. So, yeah. Don't get too greedy with your parlays. I mean, we already have a good group of games. You know, I got a guy who texts me almost every day. He's like, man, I lost again. I had 5 out of 6 right. He's like, man, I never win. I was 4 out of 5 today. I'm just like, okay, dude, do you realize what you're doing every day? You're texting about how you have this big, long parlay and you miss by 1 every single day. Stop, man. What do I say every day in the live stream? Do a 2 or 3 team parlay. You're driving yourself nuts missing by 1 every single day. Spurs and Magic, I'm leaving it alone. Pistons and Hornets, I'm leaving it alone. And that said, let's wrap it up here. What I want to do is go through college basketball today and college football, see if there's anything. If there are, I'll do another post and put the notes up for something I like. But I also want to get to work on decoding all of the college football games for tomorrow. And, of course, tomorrow I'll put out the notes in the morning for the NBA and NHL. And if you guys haven't been following that, what I'm doing is, because the games start early, I'll put the posts up with the NBA and NHL, and I don't have all the games finished, but I try to get the early games done so you can look at it with time to spare, and then I continue to update the posts until I'm all the way finished. So, here we got a caller. What's up, caller?
Hey, so I was just going to say, for that guy who keeps texting, just tell him to do a round robin.
How's that?
So if you pick 7 or 8 teams, and if 1 or 2 loses, and if you pick them by like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they'll win. So.
Well, I think what he needs to do, man, is just do 2 and 3 team parlays.
I agree, but if this guy's going to keep going for it, well, that's his best option then.
Sure. Yeah.
And then, what's his name? Rod. I'm definitely down. So.
Okay, I'll exchange your guys' phone numbers then.
Okay, that sounds cool. All right, brother.
All right, see you, man.
Yep.
All right, later. Okay, so we'll wrap it up there. We reviewed everything. If I see anything in college basketball, or I haven't even looked if there's college football games tonight, but I'm going to do it right now. If I see anything, I'll definitely put posts up. And then tonight I will get out the notes for college football tomorrow. And again, tomorrow morning, Well, maybe I'll look at some college basketball tomorrow too. Hockey, NBA, possibly college basketball, and then of course we'll do the NFL live stream. So I got to finish getting all those notes done too, and we'll reconvene tomorrow afternoon. So we'll leave it there, True Seeker. Good luck, and I think we're gonna have a good day here. So until next time.